Hello, everybody, and welcome to the September 7th, 2021 iteration of the Kubernetes SIG-Windows community meeting. As always, these meetings are recorded and uploaded to YouTube. Should be sure to adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct. Let's get started. Announcements. I don't think we have many announcements. The enhancement freeze is scheduled for this Thursday, September 9th. Believe we're tracking 3 enhancements. One of them was a carryover from 122, and we've done all of the necessary milestone updates to get that tracked in 123. The other 2 are listed here, and I wanted to discuss those in a little bit more depth after this. The other announcement is KubeCon is, I believe that if people are interested in attending virtually, they are still accepting kind of registrations for that. I think that the in-person ones are closed. If you're interested in that, take a look at that. You can find information just by searching for KubeCon NA or CNCF Con NA in your favorite search engine. If anybody has any other announcements, just drop them in the chat or just feel free to interrupt me. I did want to talk a little bit about the 2 KEPs that we have going. Ravi mentions he's not going to be available today, but we can still discuss that KEP that enhancement update. I think that we have consensus and we're just kind of settling on some final details to put into the KEP. This KEP is for adding the feature to, or adding a new OS field in the pod spec, so that things like built-in admission controllers can act on or can enforce certain rule or behaviors for one OS or the other. The general approach looks like there's not much disagreement. The disagreement is, well, there's not many disagreements. There's just some asking for clarification. I think the tricky bit with this one is that normally it's advised to not have other features act on or be aware of features that are in alpha, because those are generally off by default and harder to turn on. But with this one, there's a lot of kind of interplay between the new pod security admission plugin and the new OS field in the KEP. And the behaviors being discussed here are that it would be desirable to have the built-in pod admission controller, which is going to beta in 123, be aware of the new OS field if that feature is turned on in a cluster. So there's just a lot of clarification around what behaviors to expect with that. If anybody's interested, the PRs in the notes, just feel free to read through it or like update or ask some questions. The next one is the progressing the host process containers to beta in 123. I need to go and ping some of the other reviewers. There's not a lot of comments. Jordan did have a couple of questions or just some clarifications he'd like to see in the either in the KEP or in the PR or both. So I'm going to work with some folks to get all of those answered after some of the community meetings this morning. There is a quick agenda item here that I see about docs on host process containers. I'm not sure who that is or if they're in the call, but I will add some links to that right now, and then we can discuss some of the other agenda items, mainly Windows Server 2022. Let me just grab that link real quick. For anybody else who's interested, there is a page on the Kubernetes or K8s.io website with some information about how to configure it. There's going to be a whole lot more information about how to build containers specific for this host process containers, and a lot more coming in 123. James Sudavant has also been doing a lot of work to get cluster API for Azure, or the cluster API provider for Azure, to work with the CNI or with host process containers. So there's a lot of good reference PRs that I'll try and link to after this meeting as well. Okay, I think that now we can talk a little bit about Windows Server 2022. So as I think a lot of people have been following, but Windows Server 2022 has been generally available for a couple of weeks. There was a kind of press and marketing embargo set for Microsoft employees until September 1st. So that's why a lot of folks like Brendan, myself, and a number of PMs couldn't really talk about it. But now we can. So we're here to kind of highlight some of the new functionality that's coming and answer any questions that people may have. Brendan or somebody at Muzz, do one of you want to kind of do a quick overview of what's new, or if not, I can.
I can do it. This is Wei Zhuan.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Wei Zhuan is probably the best person. Thank you, Wei Zhuan, for joining.
Not necessarily best, but I'll start. So I hope everyone have seen we have two blogs on the September 1st. Like Mark said, the GA date, if you guys follow the MCR, when the image published, it was published a little bit earlier, August 18th. But because the pricing was not ready until a little bit later, so marketing did the launch, stage launch on September 1st, and that's why we're not able to talk publicly, but now it's available. September 1st on our tech community blog, we explain, kind of give overview and the links to the new features. I can quickly walk through new features that some of you probably already familiar. For example, host process container. We start with that development in that sort of active branch, and also we now looking at Server 2019 as well, right? As far as I know, and we have extended the support for all three images. I believe last week, Mark did a great job explaining the history 1809 and 2019. That was right on point. So now for Server 2022, from get-go, we ensure all the three images are supported at LTSC, meaning 5-year mainstream and 5-year extended support. So that's another highlight, because we know the community here really want a longer support. We add the other thing that we spend a lot of time is on image optimization. Some of the work actually fled in earlier stack release. If you were using 2004 or 2022, you already see the image optimization, compared to 2019. But a lot of our customer, right, even for us AKS, we're right now only adopting LTSC. So if you compare 2022 with 2019, image size actually smaller, and we are continuing on the journey to optimize as well, but definitely there's significant image optimization, mainly of the .NET engine images. We remove from the default base OS image and only have it in .NET images. So whoever build on the base image, they no longer need to take on the common sort of extra engine image. Only kept a few. So that's the image optimization for server core. And similarly, over the last few years, we did a lot of improvement on performance reliability, especially from containerd point of view, because we are, have been developing to start doing the development work on containerd back in 2019. A lot of internal team are using that. So a lot of optimization for containerd, and also we are optimizing server core, that server core itself for general server, and then that performance reliability actually you can see reflecting the container image as well. So that's from image composition or size point of view. And related also, we add another new image, which is server image, right? Used in the past is a Windows image. It's more kind of based on a client SKU. And now for this round, we repivot to based on a server SKU. So all the features, especially features related, a few things people in the community reported related to IS, for example. If you, in the past, there's a license constraint and you can only do 10 connection. And now with the server SKU, based on server SKU, there's no longer such limitation. And we're looking at bring more, lighten up more application compatibility from the server SKU. For example, We have done work on GPU related, hardware acceleration related work. We'll continue work on that. There are also other API missing from the Windows image, and we hope with the server-based image, things are there. We definitely welcome community to validate and let us know if that's not the case. And relatively speaking, that image is also smaller than the Windows-based image. So that's for an image point, we have those three. And then and also we have quite a few networking related improvements. And I think that in the detail in the blog and along the same release wave, also we have tooling related improvements that along with the Windows Admin Center and also Azure Migrate. So that's at high level in terms of the new image. So there's no semi-annual release with this one. So you can see the tag is only LTSC 2022. I know for 2019, it's confusing there too. There was one point I was thinking, okay, should we converge? Because 1809 will give people the perception it's a SAG. But I checked with Mark, and I think Mark confirmed, given a lot of people are still using the tag, we're not going to change that. So you, like Mark has said, you can almost use LTSC 2019 and 1809 interchangeably. There's very small hash, I think, related, small tag related difference, but the bits, everything is the same. So we're not changing anything. But going forward, so Server 2022, only one tag, but you can use a different variation, like tag itself, or with a KB, or with the actual build number. And the last thing I want to highlight is we intend to support Containerd for now first-party Kubernetes services for AKS and AKS HCI. We want to, let the community know that's our intention, and definitely would welcome the impact feedback here. So that was more like the first blog on September 1st. Now, September 2nd blog was mainly address a lot of community, not just Kubernetes, but in general, especially folks are outside Kubernetes even, people are relying on SAC or relying on process isolate container running on Windows 10 machine. So that was that main focus. I think the main takeaway is, we looking at community, we are with the maturity of the container Windows container, and also we're seeing the adoption trend. We will be focusing on LTSC only, and of course we're not going to do SAC, and so we'll be without SAC. Of course, there's concern like how fast, how agile we can ship new features. We're aware of that, and I think at least a few efforts undergoing. One is how to we'll definitely focus on how to work with our servicing team to make updates or patches faster. So like monthly update, how do we get things faster? Because I know in the past it's painfully taken much longer time. So that's that. And then from process isolation point, we know it's a pain point for a customer to know the process and the hyper isolation, the difference. So the biggest announcement coming from this one is we have been spending effort to support down level process isolation. So meaning that effort start with the Server 2022, meaning if you're running Server 2020 image for anything, any host is the same or future, now you can sort of do down level support. You can, from a customer point of view, you sort of like build application once, and you don't need to rev application, but you can update your host. And specific in this context, for customers who want to use Server 2022 process isolation, you can use Windows 11 because Windows 11 actually a build number is higher than Windows Server 2022. And it does not work. Server 2022 image does not work on Windows 10 or even 20H1, 20H2, those, not 20H1 build, I think latest one, because those Windows 10 build are based on older branch. So I want to call out, but moving forward, we'll continue optimize the down level version compat. And right now it's just preview, and I know Brandon on the call, he can definitely drill deeper, but it's something very exciting that we want to share with the community, especially who are developers who have, want to run Windows 10. I think that's probably a high level that I would capture. I don't know if I missed anything, like mods, whoever on the call can add, and I'm happy to take questions.
Mark, you're on mute. I think you covered it. I think, I mean, are there any questions? We're happy to answer, I guess.
Yeah, and thanks for the overview. I think that it might take a little bit of time for people to read the blog posts and see if they have any questions. But yeah, does anybody have any questions right now?
So I have one question regarding the 2019, the LTSC. So for customers, using the full image or nano, so the 1809 tags will be kept maintained going forward, and they just be okay.
What, unless you guys tell me differently, I was thinking like, hey, want to convert on LTSC 2019 as a tag, and then remove 1809, because 1809 is more like the convention wise, you're using the SAC release convention, like 1903 or 1909, right? Like can be misleading. But I checked with Mark and others, and I think people prefer to leave it there. And I'm okay to continue support that, unless you guys tell me differently.
Yeah, I think that we shouldn't stop updating the 1809 tag for the nano server image, but if we wanted to maybe create a new tag and update them both, that might be good. But I think that if we just stop updating the 1809 tag, there are people who are not going to get that memo and are going to run into some compatibility issues.
I would suggest we add the new tags, because we had this confusion from one of the customers, because the new repo has only the LTC 22 for the full image. So they were asking like, we need actually 22 because 2019 doesn't have support for full image. So I believe it makes confusion to customers, like, since they are not seeing the LTC tag, it's like it's not supported. Those types are not supported at all.
Yeah, so initially the 1809 tag and nano server were only supposed to have the same support timeline as the 1809 semi-annual channel release, which is 18 months. But after that has lapsed, Microsoft did commit to supporting the nano server image for Windows Server 2019 for the full life cycle of that product.
Yeah, for basically mainstream 5 years. Yeah.
But yeah, we can look into creating another LTSC 2019 tag.
If I hear correctly, we want to keep 1809 tag, meanwhile also add a tag of LTSC 2019. So people see that, like, for people who are new to the space, they will see LTSC for server core, for nano, and for the image, they know, okay, those are LTSC, right? So
correct. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to break the existing ones, but to Ibrahim's point, and thank you for the feedback, Ibrahim, there, the LTSC, with now the announcement of SAG going away, people may get confused. So I think it's a good point to keep to add a LTSC tag, but not break the existing images.
Makes sense. Okay. And I think I also heard some mention the Windows image, the specific Windows image is this one. We are not starting with Server 2020. We're not releasing that one. So if you're using Windows image, the third image, for starting Windows Server 2022, you want to move to the server image. I just want to make sure that you got that.
Yeah, I know. So this was actually the part of the confusion. The new one is server one, the old one was the old Windows one. So
Okay, how what do you recommend we should do?
I would say at least we update the existing ones, the regular Windows full and the nano ones, just add new tags that call it LTSC 2019. So at least if someone is searching or we want to point them, we will say, you can see the LTC 2019 tags in the old one. And then the new repos can just be kept for 22 going forward. So it's just an additional tag will probably help getting the confusion away, because with today's tags, it's only mentioning 1809. And I believe, yeah, for any new person who he's not aware about, yeah, 1809 came with LTC and they are the same bits, he won't be looking for 1809.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. I will take the action item. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Alan.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question, just kind of follow up if nobody else has a question.
Sure, sure.
I think we didn't come because last time, then Jane talked, and last meeting we probably ran out of time. The question was, which Kubernetes version we should
Yes.
support, right, for server 2022. I think we'll talk about server 123, which is scheduled for December release, and also currently the 122, and the 122 I think end of support is October next year. So yeah. I wanted get understanding, what do you guys recommend?
So I think we've talked about this maybe a year or 18 months ago, but from the SIG-Windows community, we did say that's for support for new Windows OS versions that we would like. That also included us building all of the test and infrastructure container images for a given release and committing to running tests for that. I believe that there have been pull requests already opened into the Kubernetes repository to build the test images for Windows Server 2022 images for the 123 release. And in general, those we wouldn't be able to necessarily backport the test image definitions to update them to use the new tags, just because of the nature of the changes and the kind of guidelines for backporting changes. So I believe we will, at least in terms of like running tests and kind of actively identifying any issues that come up from test automation, we'll start with 123 and move forward. But if anybody, I guess, does find any issues that are specific to running Windows Server 2022 on older versions of Kubernetes, please let SIG-Windows know, and we can kind of triage and evaluate then. Some issues may be able to be fixed, some may not. It just depends on where they come up with. But
okay, so Mark, you're saying like we are proactively adding new test jobs for 123, so more like forward-looking, and there'll be new work, that in your engineer work, right? And you're saying for 122 is so more reactive, like if people are validating as is or running whatever execution, validation as is, and we run it issue, we take a look at. But when there's no need or nobody's probably creating new test jobs, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and that's how we've treated previous SAC releases as well.
So then when we release later on, like declare in the server 2020 is ready, and then Kubernetes or SIG-Windows, like what will be the message? You would declare it's on 123, support 123 and 122, or how do you?
Yeah, well, I think we'll just say that we'll say that. So what we usually do is we update the, let me find it. We
update the doc, right? And
yeah, we update the docs, and this is, I think we update the docs, and so for each release, this table gets updated, and we'll update this table for the 122 for the 123 docs, or to list either Windows Server 2022 or Windows Server 20, or side by side with that version. And then we'll have to figure out how to phrase that. We'll phase these out as they go out of their support lifecycle. And then we'll update the docs to point to the new pause image that has Windows Server 2022 support, because that needs to go hand in hand with deploying a Windows Server 22 cluster. And then there's a couple other references to a specific functionality here that we'll update.
Okay.
So we'll start with mentioning Windows Server 2022 in the docs for 123. But if anybody is like trying it out, Like I think usually, like when new stack releases come out, it's usually some infrastructure providers already support it before the release is out because things just work. And we hope that that's going to be the same for Windows Server 2022.
And who or what's your recommendation to how do we, when and how to update the documentation here? Like later, along with the server, along with the 123 release?
Yeah, so these docs, the way it works is near the end of the, well, sometime in the middle of the Kubernetes release, the docs team will fork the Kubernetes website repository and create a dev 123 branch, and then updates go into that branch if they're specifically targeting the 123 release. And then when the 123 release occurs, the website will go live along with all of the Kubernetes bits. So we can take care of that.
I mean, like how I don't think this SIG-Windows meeting will continue to, I don't think it's the best time to talk about this. Probably somewhere some other work stream that we should sort of hook up with to make sure we are plugging or work with the community to update. Is that right? Like with the 123 release team, doc team? Or?
No, we just myself, James, Jay, anybody just updates the docs.
Okay. So we'll just work with you. Yeah. You guide us, or you can tell us, hey, this it's about time, and we'll work with it to update. Okay.
All right, I'm going to stop my screen share now. If nobody else has any questions, I'm going to hand it over to Jay for the pairing.
One thing I'll note on the down level version compatibility, this is a big thing that we've been working on for quite a long time now. And we'll have a dedicated blog post about it, talking about all of its specifics and nuances. But at least at the moment, if you do try running a Windows Server 2022 container image on either Windows 11 or Windows Server 2022, and you come across any version compatibility bugs, please reach out to me on Slack and let me know, because I want to be able to triage these as fast as possible. So
yeah,
more info coming.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome, thanks. All right, I'm going to stop the recording now.